Hi there. I'm Dr. Wendy Coughlin, a licensed mental health professional in the state of Florida and a person in long-term recovery. And I'm smiling because now I'm going to talk about Step 6S as written in my book, the sequel. I actually had to grab the book to find out how I language that step. And I'm laughing and sharing this with you because it really doesn't matter what the language is. My language for 6S, as I'm reading it, I don't remember it, identified our characteristics, skills, and talents that can now be put to good use. So instead of looking at our defects of character, we're looking at things that we have that we can work with to move forward. And again, the entirety of the sequel, it's about just shifting around to move in a positive direction. So what are these characteristics, skills, and talents? Characteristics about who you are. It's really important to look at who you are when you're trying to plan the next step of your life. I had someone in my office earlier today who is no longer to physically continue her work in an athletic field, but she loves athletics. So she came up with a plan that perhaps she could be involved like backstage with some sports teams, or maybe even working in concessions or as an usher. She could do something, anything involving some of the sports that she really enjoys. So that would enrich her life. You have to look at what you like. If you're an introvert, and I am, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to cold call on people and do sales things, and you have to be at events and you have to socialize. And I mean, not that those of us who are introverts can't do those things. We can. It doesn't feed us. Introverts are like people who have all these wires coming out of us and plugs in us and wires coming out of us. And those wires attach to people and drain us of our power and our strength. As an introvert, you need alone time, you need private time, you need to be able to pace things. If you're an extrovert, you plug all those plugs into other people and you suck from them and you get invigorated by being with people. It's not about whether you like people or don't like people, it's where you get your energy. And 3/4 of the population, at least in the United States, tend to be more extroverted. There's about 1/4 of us that are truly on that end of the continuum. So if you're an introvert, you don't want to do something that puts you in the middle of people. If you're an extrovert, you don't want to do something that keeps you away from people. So look at your characteristics. Are you a sensor or an intuitive person? Do you work by gut feelings and just kind of wing it and go through life noticing how you're responding and pretty capable of figuring out how you want to do something? Or are you a sensor that really needs to digest all the facts, look at all the things, do your actuarial tables and your Excel spreadsheets and figure things out? Again, this may play a significant role in what kind of work you're going to enjoy doing. If you're a sensor, accounting might be great. If you're more intuitive, you work on intuition. Not a lot of room for intuition in accounting. That's pretty concrete. Or are you a thinker or a feeler? What I'm referring to is some of Carl Jung's typology of personality, and we're all on a continuum. We all have these elements. That's just one typology that you can use. There's a number in business that talk about what the dominant or submissive, a number in psychology. Whatever works. Figure out who you are, what you like to do, what your personality type is as you begin to explore your next career, your next avocation, your next hobby. It could just be a hobby. But look at those characteristics as to who you are, and maybe get some feedback from people around you. If you have a sponsor, ask your sponsor to give you some feedback. And what are your skills? Sometimes the skills are just very basic things, like you can pack things well, you can pack a suitcase, you can put groceries away in the refrigerator, you can organize a room and keep it organized. Well, there's maybe something right there. Industrial organization. Okay, I'm thinking academics, but it could just be working for California Closets. Oops, shouldn't have given them a promo, but it's almost seen as a type now of closet design and reorganizing. There's so many skills we have that we kind of minimize. I use in the book an example of a woman who had tremendous skill and talent at cooking books. I learned that only after I learned that she had embezzled a lot of money from me, and then I was doing my own forensic accounting, and it was incredible how she could move money and how she would masquerade things. She had a lot of skill. She could use that going forward in a positive direction. Talents. What are you particularly good at? Do you have some very clear talents like singing or art, or as I've mentioned in prior podcasts, cooking? Do you have talents, as a couple of people I know have, at being able to sway people's judgment? Maybe politics is a career. But start looking at who you are and take that as the base as to what you're going to do when you grow up in recovery. And don't be afraid. If you think you'd be good at something, go try it. What's the worst going to happen? You're not good? But if you're in recovery, you've already been not good. You've already failed. So, now you're going to succeed no matter what, as long as you stay in recovery. And if along the path to the sequel steps, if ever your recovery, your basic recovery from your addictive behaviors or substances is in jeopardy, stop the sequel, go back to the original, take one day at a time. First things first, keep that solid foundation of personal recovery before you start launching into new stuff, okay? And whatever you do, remember Kismet, keep it simple and make it fun. Thanks.